Hello, Iona College. I am your host with the most, Jersey Joe, and I am here with the WICR Morning Show. Unfortunately, Spring Gonzalez and Ken Reischerman couldn't make it in this morning, so I'm going to fill in for the morning show. And for people who aren't sports fans, I'm sorry, but this is going to be a very more sports-heavy oriented morning show. Give you guys a quick little way to start your morning. Talking a lot of NFL, Football Friday. It's a great time of the year. So just a recap, last night we had the first NFL game of the season. You had the Seattle Seahawks dominating the Green Bay Packers at home. They won 36-16. They just ran. They tore it up. I mean, man, Marshawn Lynch last night, 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Part of my impressions of the game last night was I really didn't like what I saw out of Green Bay's defense. They looked very soft to me. I mean, so many missed tackles, penalties. The Seahawks really just, I mean, we know how good they've been at home. They've only lost one game at home in the last 2 seasons, so pretty unbelievable there. But still, I mean, missed tackles are missed tackles. Those are fundamentals. You shouldn't be missing those. And overall, I didn't like what I saw out of Green Bay on offense, on defense. Part of it is playing at Seattle, how difficult it is to play there, but still, I mean, I think if you're a Packers fan this morning, there's a little cause for concern there. And look, if you're Seattle, I love this tempo that they come out of the gate with. The first game of the season, they come out with that edge that they had last year. They dominate all phases of the game, special teams, defense, offense. One thing I really saw with Seattle also last night was Percy Harvin. You really see, I think, that they're going to be trying to get him the ball a lot more this year. They're really doing the swing gate passes to him. I mean, they're really trying to get him the ball, and you could definitely see that last night. That was a big part of the game plan. And look, Percy Harvin's one of the most dynamic offensive weapons in the game. Having a guy like that on your team is so helpful, and I think Russell Wilson's only going to get better this season, but that is a great start for the Seattle Seahawks last night. And we've seen the last couple years that teams the following year who won the Super Bowl, I think there's been one team who's won a playoff game since in the last 8 years, so that's pretty impressive right there. I mean, it's tough to do, but I love the Seahawks team. You saw it last night, how they came out. I'm picking them to make it back to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they'll win it, but I think they're young enough. I think they have enough talent to get back there. So that's something there. And for all you football fans who have your pigskin pick'ems, one of my favorite things to do is we go over every single game on the list, tell you who I think is going to win and why. So I'm going to kick it right off for you with the New Orleans Saints going to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is a tough game. We know last year Atlanta, how badly they struggled. I really can't see them being as bad as they were last year. Atlanta just was Matt Ryan and everything that went wrong last year. They didn't lose a lot of these games. They were very close games. They won them by a play or two, and I think that Atlanta will definitely be better this year. I think this will be a tough game. Obviously, I'm going to pick the Saints to win here. I think they'll win the division, but this is going to be a tough first game right there, and I think that the Falcons are going to show you that they're definitely going to be much better this year than they were last year. So going with the Saints in that one. After that, you've got the Buffalo Bills and the Chicago Bears, the Bears being the home team. This is probably one of the safer picks for elimination pools this week. I'm picking the Bears on one of mine. I think that the Bears at home, I love what Mark Trestman has done with that team. I think the Bears, that field is a tough place to play at Soldier Field. I think that the Bears are really going to come out of the gate and just have a very nice first win here. So pretty much that's one of the safer games on the schedule. So you go with the Bears there. Following that, one of the harder games of the week, you have the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. And I was talking to my dad about this the other day. I mean, the Bengals are one of those teams where everybody's all over the place. People love them. People hate the Bengals. There's not really a common ground on this one. I don't know. I think the Bengals will win the division, but I think the Ravens are going to really give them a run for their money this year. I like the Ravens a lot better offensively. You bring in offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak. I really like him. Steve Smith is going to be a big help for Joe Flacco. So I think that the Ravens will definitely be better this year. I'm actually picking the Ravens to win this game at home. I think the Bengals and the Ravens will split this year. Bengals will win at home. The Ravens will win theirs at home. So I think that I'm picking the Ravens here, but there's a lot of division on this game. A lot of people are going both ways. I'm going with the Ravens here. After that, you have the Cleveland Browns on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like either of these teams. I really think Pittsburgh's offense is just very sluggish, very slow and methodical. They did go up tempo last year, and they were a lot better. I just don't like the pieces. I don't like Todd Haley as an offensive coordinator right now, and I think Pittsburgh will win this game, but there's not going to be a lot of flash in this game here. After that, you have the Tennessee Titans on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is a pretty safe one. I think Tennessee is probably has the worst roster in the NFL. I think they'll end up with the first overall pick in the draft this year. I think they're the worst team, to be honest. But I like Kansas City. I think they take a step back this year, but I do like Kansas City. They're well coached. They're not going to turn the ball over. They've got a good defense. This is probably another safe elimination pool one here. Kansas City, there's no way they'd lose this game at home. They're just too well coached, and I think they'll win this game pretty easily. After that, you have the New York Jets and the Oakland Raiders. The Derek Carr era begins in Oakland, and I like what I've seen out of him in the preseason. I mean, he's looked pretty sharp so far, and I think that he will have a little success against the Jets secondary, because that secondary is scary. But up front, the Jets, they have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. I love their defensive line. So many big playmakers there, and I think the Jets will win this one at home pretty handily. But the Raiders, I'm very curious to see what I'm going to see from Carr, because he's shown me a lot, and I hope things work out for them, because I like Dennis Allen. I think the Raiders have just kind of had such a tough run the last couple years, and hopefully Carr will be the man there. But I got to watch him. I got to see what he shows me. The eye test always tells you what you need to know. After that, you have the Minnesota Vikings and the St. Louis Rams, the Rams being the home team. This is a really tough game, really tough. I mean, one of the toughest picks of the week. I'm going with the Rams here being the home team. Now, I like Minnesota a little bit here as well. I mean, Matt Castle should have some success against the Rams secondary, but the Rams up front, their line as well is phenomenal. But I'm going to go with the Rams here being the home team. I think this is honestly a coin flip. Both teams really don't have a surefire quarterback right now. Both have pretty solid defenses. But I think you got to give the edge to the home team here, just being the way both teams are pretty evenly matched at quarterback. You just got to give the home team the edge, so you go with the Rams there. After that, you have the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. The Patriots, one of the bigger road favorites of the week. You got to go with New England here. I love New England this year. Haven't liked them the last couple of years, but defensively they're phenomenal. Miami, they've played the Patriots very tough the last couple years, but I'm really excited to see how Revis fits into this Patriots defensive scheme. I think it's going to be a nice win for New England. Pretty safe. I wouldn't pick this game in elimination, because I never take road teams. I think it's a bad idea, especially the first week of the season. You never know what's going to happen, so I would not touch this game. But if you do have to pick for just picking every game, you got to go with New England here. Following that, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles at home. This is another one of those ones where you're probably safe if you're taking this in your elimination. But I do have to say, I am a big Jaguars guy. I think Gus Bradley, he's got this. He coaches very well, very disciplined guy. His team's bought in. They have good personnel on this team. You've seen what Blake Bortles did in the preseason, and I hope he gets a chance to play in the regular season, because this kid is going to be a good player in the league. He really is. He's got all the fundamentals that you'd want. He's smart. He gets it. I don't get the sense that he's not working hard enough. He's doing everything he needs to do, and I really hope he gets his chance to start, because he's going to be very good in this league. But I think the Jaguars, they're not going to beat themselves. The Eagles are just too good. They should win this game pretty easily at home, though. But the Jaguars, they're on the up and up, and I'm going to keep my eye on them. After that, you have the Washington Redskins and the Houston Texans again. This is another one of those very tough games to pick. Both teams, I still am not sure about. I don't like Houston a lot. RG3, I just don't know what's going on with him. I watch him in his press conferences, and to be honest, I just don't see energy. There's no energy. He looks miserable, to be honest, and I don't know what the problem is. Right now, I'm going with the Redskins here on the road. I just trust them at quarterback better, even with what's going on with RG3. Houston doesn't have a quarterback. Like them defensively, but you got to have a quarterback, and I just am not convinced with what they have. I think RG3 will be able to put a couple scores on the board, and that'll come away with Washington for a win here. But this is a tough game. I could see it going either way. Definitely, probably the toughest game of the week. Then you have the San Francisco 49ers on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys. Again, this would seem like another safe pick for elimination, but again, I don't like taking road teams. The 49ers, though, I have them winning this game. The Cowboys' defense is just miserable. It really is. I mean, the run game for San Francisco is really going to have a field day on this team. That'll open up the passing game for Colin Kaepernick, which will be big because his production comes from the running game. When the running game stops, Colin Kaepernick's effectiveness really just dwindles. So I think that San Francisco will win here. I do really want to see how they look defensively, San Francisco, because Tony Romo is going to put up some points because I don't like the secondary for San Francisco right now. A lot of change in the offseason, some injuries, losing some guys, so this is going to be interesting to see how Romo's going to be able to do against this team because he's going to really have to carry the load for the team this year because that defense, they might be even worse than last year, but you go with the Niners here. We'll keep that updated. Then you have another. This is the third hardest game of the week. The Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Carolina takes a big step back this year. They've lost so many guys, I mean, especially on the offensive end. The secondary have my questions about as well. I like Cam, but he's got those nagging injuries as well. This is a tough one. I went with Carolina. I just think they have the better quarterback right now. But I like Tampa Bay a lot. They have a good head coach. Lovie Smith instantly makes them better. They're not going to beat themselves with turnovers. They have a good quarterback, not great. They have very good offensive personnel. Doug Martin. They have Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson on both sides, so that is really good right there. I'm going to go with Carolina, though, here. Could go either way, but this is another one of the toughest ones of the week. After that, what a Sunday night game. I am so excited for this Sunday night game. The Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. That was such a good game last year. Andrew Luck winning that game. I say it all the time whenever I'm on. I think Andrew Luck is just special. One of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my lifetime, and he's so young. If you look at this talent on this Indianapolis roster, it's so depleted of talent, it's just ridiculous. And to do what he's done with this team the last 2 years has just been unbelievable. I mean, you give this guy some more talent, then there's no telling how high he can take them. They bring in Hakeem Nicks. I'm curious to see how that's going to work. T.Y. Hilton, I really like the chemistry starting to develop with him. And Reggie Wayne gets back, which is going to be big. I'm going with Denver here in this one. Denver's the home team, so you've got to give them the edge. But look, you've got two of the most prominent quarterbacks in the league going up against one another. The NFL got it right with this as the first Sunday night game because my eyes are going to be glued to the TV for this one. Then after that, you have two Monday night games. My two teams playing on the Monday night. You have the New York Giants taking on the Detroit Lions, the Lions being the home team, of course. And look, if anything, these two teams are the teams that you never know what you can expect out of. I'm going with the Lions here being the home team. The Giants just offensively in the preseason have just looked lost. Don't think they'll show that in the first game, but the Lions being the home team, you got to give them the edge here. I really don't know because the Lions and the Giants, they both have a quarterback, and when you have a quarterback, it solves a lot of problems, but they're just so inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get out of these guys. So it's going to be tough to see here, but you should see the Lions getting the win here. And then the late Monday night game, the San Diego Chargers and the Arizona Cardinals. This is another tough one here, and I hate picking against my team, but I've got to give the Cardinals my pick here. I love the Arizona defensively. I think Bruce Arians is one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. The only thing I don't like in Arizona is Carson Palmer. To do what they did, winning 10 games last year with Carson Palmer, that just shows you how good Bruce Arians is as a play caller, how good he has that offensive scheme running. Andre Ellington is going to be big for them this year, really relying on the run game. That wasn't huge for them last year. That's going to be big for them this year. I like the Chargers. It's going to be a close game. I have Arizona winning 23-20. I think it's going to be close, but Arizona's defense is just too good on the road for the Chargers. I think Arizona comes away with it here. But that is giving you a rundown of every game. I like picking all the games, trying to help you guys out. Had a good year last year. I will say the first week is usually the hardest week to pick because there's always surprises that you didn't know about. Sometimes the preseason only tells you so much, and when it comes to the actual game day, things really change. So the first week sometimes is the toughest to pick, but I do feel pretty good about it this week, and I'm really looking forward to the game. We've got a ton of good college games as well, so I hope everybody enjoys the weekend. So many great games to watch, and we will be back on Monday. Thank you for tuning in.